You think your next level will come if you can just push hard enough for long enough. And that's why it's not arrived yet. This video is a message for my high-performing brothers and sisters. Those of you who know that you have something, a goal, a vision, a mission, a quest. Most likely a business, something that you're creating, something that you know in your heart and soul you really, really want. And you know that you have what it takes to create it. You've already committed to this. But you're at a point now where you're hitting what I call the wall. The old ways, the old effort, it's not working. And you're telling yourself a story that if I just push hard enough for long enough, if I just keep going, I'll finally get there. I'll finally arrive at the promised land where everything makes sense, where everything comes true, where I finally feel like I can relax. You are running your life, your business, your mission, your art, your music, your song, whatever the thing is that you are striving for in your life. You're running from a place of pressure and performance. And the likelihood is that's pretty much all you've ever known. And I'm not here to shame that. I'm speaking as someone who has lived this pattern for his whole life as well. But I'm also here to share the reason why it doesn't work. And the reason why you are watching this video still, because you wouldn't be if you didn't resonate with the fact that you're not where you want to be yet. You're still not there, despite all the pushing. And there's a part of you that's starting to doubt whether it will actually come. But you've invested so much in this push, in this identity, in this version of you, and in this thing that you're trying to create, that the idea that it couldn't come is painful, is almost too difficult to comprehend. So you seem and feel trapped, like the only thing for you to do is double down and go harder, right? So this is why you end up watching the Alex Hormozis and the Tony Robbins of the world, and the people that kind of inspire this sense of needing to push harder and just go for longer. Or you circle around and you jump from strategy to strategy. You look for the next thing that's actually going to take you where you're going. My brother, my sister, this wall is not something that you can push through. It's a very intelligent mechanism. The wall comes along when you are ready to move to a new level. You're ready to grow and live in a different way. Because the truth is you've outgrown this old identity. You've outgrown the performer. You've outgrown the high achiever. You've outgrown the version of you that learned to succeed only through pressure, to succeed only through the struggle, right? This idea that I can only get where I want to be if I suffer for it. If I work harder, longer, deeper than other people. And the reason why this is falling apart is because it was built on a lie. It was built on a lie that said success had to be earned through struggle. And the reason why you believed that is because deep down, you have a story that you're not good enough. That might hit something in your body, and I would invite you to pay attention to it if it does. If you're really honest with yourself, you've been trying to prove something. To life, to yourself, to the world, to mum and dad. And the truth is you've been trying to prove and perform for so long that you maybe don't know who you are anymore when you're not doing that. And that feels edgy to confront. So this is the point now where a lot of people will switch off this video because it might be too much. The edge that I'm inviting you to look at right now, it's not comfortable. But if you're still watching it, you're watching because you're ready. Because what is on the other side of that edge is not just everything that you want. It's not just everything that you are creating. coming to you more easily, more joyfully, more magically, and I mean that in like a very real sense, than you have allowed yourself to believe is possible. But there is something so much deeper and truer coming as well. Because this identity, this performer, this version that you thought you had to be, that learned he or she was only safe when they succeeded, it has to die, it has to fall apart, because it cannot take you where you're going. A mission like yours, the thing that you actually are here to create, it cannot be built by the version of you that you've been up until this point. And in a moment, I'm going to tell you my story, so that you know I'm not just like calling you out. I'm speaking from a lived experience of someone who has lived this pattern deeply. But first, I want to tell you this. Everything that you build will carry the energetic signature of the state that you build it from. Everything that you build will carry the energetic signature of the state or identity that you build it from. This is why nothing that you build can outgrow the nervous system state that you build it from. If you build from pressure, from lack, from fear, which is what this is, which is what this performance thing is, whatever your story is, it's coming deep down from like, if I don't succeed, it means something about me. It means that I'm a failure. And if I'm a failure, it means I'm not good enough. And if I'm not good enough, it means I'm not loved. And if I'm not loved, I'm not worthy. Like whatever it is, when you follow it down, that's the deep, dark, gritty stuff underneath that you often are afraid to look at. That is what is running your grind. That's what's driving your struggle. That underneath, you think that it's about achieving and reaching the promised land, but in truth, the promised land is just what you tell yourself is the solution to this stuff that you're afraid to face and feel. This fear that you have, this shame that you have, this uncertainty, this doubt, this fear, that is the architecture, that is the energetic state that you are building from. So everything that you build will carry that signature. Which is why no matter what you build, no matter how much you achieve, one, it will never be enough, because when you get there, you're still going to be the same person. You're still going to be that same deep down hurt boy or girl who doesn't believe that they're good enough, who has achieved something, but actually it doesn't fill this void. So you need to go and get more, and you do more. And this is why we see this in the world today, right? Of just an endless consumerist seeking of more that never fills the void. The reason why you are one of the lucky ones, and I would even say one of the destined ones, not that I want to make you special, but there's a reason that you're hitting the wall and you can't achieve that success. It's because you're not meant to from the version of you that you've been being up until now. You're meant to build something deeper and truer, not necessarily something different to what you're building, but from a deeper and truer place, which means that one, it's stronger, more stable, more secure, which means it can be built bigger, faster, further. It can impact more people. Why? Because when you change your energy, when you change your identity, when you change the place that you're building from, everything that you're building changes too. Because we live in an energetic world, my friend. And whatever you're building, people can feel the frequency that you're building it from. If you're building it from stress, from pressure, from scarcity, from lack, from fear, from I'm not good enough and I need to prove something, people feel that. And that's probably in large part why you're not achieving the results that you want to achieve. That's what drives business deals away. People won't quite understand why, but they don't trust you as much. Because they can feel that there's an unconscious agenda there that you're not being fully honest about. Because you're not being honest with yourself. And so you think that you're trying to achieve this thing, and at one level you are, like maybe you're in a business that's serving people, right? Of course your main intention is to serve them, but unconsciously what you're seeking is validation. What you're seeking is a sense of I'm enough if they say yes. That's an unconscious contract, subconscious, that people can pick up on, that is in the field between you. And they may not know why they therefore don't lean in and say yes, but that's why. So this is how we take this kind of slightly metaphysical thing and start to see how it actually shows up in the world, right? Why you haven't hit that level that you've been pushing for. And you look at the lack of results and you go, okay, well, I just need to push harder. I need to do more, right? Meanwhile, your relationships are suffering. Your health is deteriorating. Everything that actually matters, that is supportive of you being a whole successful person, starts to get put on the back burner. Your sleep is going to shit. You don't eat as well, right? Everything starts to be put secondary because you invest your whole thing around this one track. I must succeed, because if I don't succeed, I'm a failure. I'm not enough. It means basically this identity that you've been trying to keep together has to fall apart. And to the part of you that thinks you are this identity, that thinks you are the one that needs to prove, that needs to perform, you might even tell yourself a story, I've always been this way. I used to do that. The one in you that is afraid of that identity falling apart is not who you really are. Because whatever can fall apart, whatever can fall away, whatever can collapse is not you. It's not you. Deep down, you know this is true. What's happening is that your nervous system in your body is ready to catch up with the truth. Because I promise you, the only thing you're pushing towards is burnout, disappointment, and collapse. Even if you do achieve, even if you get to the thing that you're saying, when I get there, then I can rest, then I can relax. You know you won't. Deep down, you know, because you've had this before. When you achieve something, when you succeed, when you get it, it doesn't last long. Why? Because there is only now, which means the nervous system, the state, the identity that you are practicing being every single day, when you reach that promised land in the future, you're still going to be the same nervous system, the same state, the same identity that you are now, then. Which means you'll have the same fears, you'll have the same insecurities. This thing that has been unconsciously running your life from the shadows is still there. This is quite a confronting video, and it's not for everybody, but if you're still watching, then it's for you. And I want to share my story with this. I went to boarding school from the age of 8, and I learned very early on that my worth was dependent on how good I was at sport, at music, at drama. I learned that I'm only loved and I'm only worthwhile if I'm the best. I became really good at being the best, or trying to be. I pushed myself in everything from an early age. When I left school at 18, I burned out because I had lived the life of like a high achieving adult for especially the last like 3-4 years. You know, literally working like 12, 13, 14 hour days, doing music, sport, academia, getting straight A's, like pushing myself and all these things. I was deeply unhappy. But I learned then the gift of this as well. And this is the other side I want to say, because everything I'm saying is quite confronting. Your high performance, the part of you that is a high achiever, it's not an enemy. It's a gift. Because people like us, we know how to push ourselves hard. We know how to achieve. We know how to succeed. There's a part of you why also you perhaps don't want to let go of this identity, why maybe what I'm sharing is a bit confronting. Because you can recognize the gift of it. You like achievement. You like being a successful high performer. It's beautiful. I'm not here to take that away from you. I am still that. But what I can share is that you reach a point in this pattern where it's no longer enough. Pushing harder will not work anymore. And this high performance pattern ran my business. When I then came into business, it was all I knew. I was just like working longer hours, doing the practices, doing everything and pushing and pushing and pushing. I eventually reached the milestone that I'd been striving for. I hit my first 20K month and everything fell apart. I had been striving towards, if I can just hit 20K a month, then I'm finally going to be safe. And I pushed and I pushed and I pushed. And it actually didn't come until I actually already had given up. It's when I let go that the 20K month came in, and then another one came in, and then what happened? Everything fell apart. I didn't earn any more money for 7 months. I spent all of that money. Why? Because the identity that I had conditioned myself to be didn't believe I was worthy of it. So even when I achieved that thing, I didn't feel good enough for it, so I couldn't hold it. I couldn't contain it. I couldn't amplify it. This is the huge danger, the huge trap. And this is again why, if you're not yet where you want to be, it's a good thing. If you're hitting this wall, it's not a problem. It's actually here to help you. Because it's a very intelligent nervous system and part of your superconscious, part of your mind that knows if you get that thing, you're going to sabotage it. It's going to fall apart. It's going to collapse. There's a part of you that knows you're here to build something slightly different, slightly deeper, slightly truer. Maybe it's still the same business, maybe it's still the same art, whatever, but it's going to be coming from a different place. And that means that it's stable. That means that it's scalable. That means it's sustainable. It was when I went through that and I was burned out for a long time that I realized this. That I realized that something had to change. This wasn't it. And I had to start realizing all the ways that I was pushing away people in my business, that I was trying to serve, that I was trying to make things happen, but I was coming from a deep sense of I'm not safe. And so everything in my business and my world carried that same signature. And it seemed, when you're in it, it seems like the only thing to do is like, well, I've just got to double down and push harder. But that's not how this universe works. That's not how life works. You get a mirror of your own nervous system. You get a mirror of your own identity. And at the moment, your identity is the identity of the struggler, the performer, the striver, the one who is trying to get there, the one who is almost there. And as long as you exist as that, you will stay in almost. You will stay in performance. You will stay in struggling. Because you don't get what you want. You get what you are. You get what you are. You get what your nervous system, your identity, and your body communicates that you are. So this is why it's great news that you're hitting this wall. Because you're now being invited to turn around and face the demon. And recognize actually it's not so scary. It's not scary. It is scary, but it's not as scary as you think it is. Because when you go deep enough into this work and into the work that I do, I call it initiation. What that really means is graduating from one level of being into the next, one level of life into the next. We think of a classic story of initiation. It's the boy being taken from his mum so that he can become a man. In a sense, your own scared little boy, your own scared little girl is what has been building this. That scared little boy or girl cannot take you any further. Initiation is what happens, is the process of finally letting that boy or girl go, giving them what they need so that they can relax, so that they can finally feel safe. In other words, it's teaching your body and your nervous system that safety will not come in the future. It can only come now. And you start to teach yourself that by recognizing that, going back to earlier, that the shame, the embarrassment, the unworthiness, the fear of failure, all these things that you've been subconsciously running from, or maybe quite consciously, when you're willing to face them and feel them, you take your power back from them. Which means all of this energy that you've been unconsciously directing towards trying to avoid and control these things is now freed up for you to use creatively, for you to direct into your business, into your goals, into your relationships, into your health. That's when success starts to become effortless, where it starts to become natural. Why? Because you're not fighting yourself anymore. You're not pushing against your own resistance. You're not unconsciously trying to bargain with life and make what you're doing mean something about you. You're just showing up as you are. That's where things start to unlock. That's where you become really freaking powerful. And I've seen this so many times. I've seen it in myself. I've seen it with the many, especially men that I've worked with, the high achieving men, that when they finally learn to stop running, to actually let go, which is a very learnable thing, they start to create space in their body. They start to feel peaceful. They start to feel at ease. They start to feel more powerful. They start to feel more energy. They start to feel more inspired. And the things that they do start to work more easily. Things just happen. Relationships fall into their lap. Deals start to close. Business grows. But there's no longer this nervous, pressurized tension attached to it all. Because why? They've realized that life is a mirror of their nervous system. And that no amount of external success or pushing or achievement will ever change that, because whatever they achieve is going to mirror the nervous system state. And your nervous system is a mirror of your identity. So this brings us back to this whole thing. This is what my work is. This is what initiation and taking a rite of passage means. It means being honest about the fact that you're not where you want to be yet, because you're not yet the version of you that can hold, create, and sustain that life. No amount of pushing is going to get you there. Not really. You'll end up like me, where you might get it and it falls apart because you haven't become the version of you that can create it naturally and hold it naturally. I help you become that version of you, because in truth you already are that version. Deep down. When you know how to meet these fears, when you teach your body that they don't need to fight and resist them anymore, when you let them go, when you free up all that energy, that's when you become unstoppable. And that's what I help you with inside my work, initiation. So if this speaks to you, first of all, let me know in the comments. Secondly, I run a free session called The Crossing. This is not a coaching session. It's not therapy. It's designed to take you directly to meeting this version of you, this identity that's been running your life so far, to help you see why it can't take you any further and what it needs to complete. And from there, I might invite you into paid work with me, which starts with initiation. It's a 2-hour rite of passage I take to help you actually complete that identity. And for those that want to go deeper beyond that, I do longer term embodiment work, up to a year-long journey that I call All In, for people that really want to go deep and create what they're here to create, from alignment, from power, from flow, instead of from hustle, from force, from pressure. I'm not telling you this to sell you something, but just to let you know what's in this world if you choose to go deeper with me. Most of all, be honest about what you felt in your body as you listen to this, because that's the key. Welcome to the next level. Welcome to initiation. I'll see you in the crossing and in the next video.